Okay, hello everybody. This is Conquering History Games. Welcome back to part 4 of my farewell stream. We're playing Hearts of Iron 4 Kaiserreich. Let's just kind of keep things moving here. So last time that I want to kind of, you know, for my speeds anyway, I want to kind of try to go relatively fast today and actually get to the Civil War before that. At least the start of the Civil War. Like, I want there to be bodies on the ground. By the time we end today, and I've got like a hard 2-hour out. So yeah, I kind of want to get into that. Now, having said that, I want to get that YouTube pop-out thing. Okay, that's gonna... I need to figure out something with this monitor. But, anyway, let's keep going on the road to the Civil War. So, I think we've got until March, maybe, before the breakaway happens. So we have to keep that in mind in regards to anything that we're going to be researching. And what I'm kind of trying to do, besides the industrial stuff, which now, you know, yeah, like, oh yeah, I can get radio detection, whatever. But it's... I just want stuff that I'm going to need after the war. But maybe not necessarily. But I don't want to take stuff that's necessarily going to help the Federalists in the war at the time. Like, I could real quick take some grab some welded armor here. But... oh no, field hospitals. Yeah. Although that could technically help them. I just really want that XP loss minus 15% and the trickle back and war support protection. There's going to be field hospitals with all of my main infantry. That's the game plan. So you can't really build during the Civil War unless you're, or I should say, it really wouldn't be worth trying to build during the Civil War enough, like trucks and stuff that you need to typically have a field hospital support battalion. But yeah, I'm going to be glad that this was already researched later. A casualty doesn't need to mean a dead soldier. Having immediate medical attention available to our wounded brought back to the rear is the first step toward ensuring this. Yeah, it's all about that, like, first 15 minutes, you know. We're doing the Hearts of Iron 3 soundtrack today, by the way. We should all be fine to listen to in regards to copyright. So we have a Republican victory in Brazil, so we're sticking Vargas. Yeah, the bickering of capitalists does not concern us. Yeah, so we're gonna probably have to head into South America at some point. That's where the Marines are really gonna shine, as I've said. Like, when it comes time to head into South America, I might only send SF down there. Okay, so we got the status of the U.S. Navy. We're not really getting too much into it, although I do want to point out I like this shout out here. A rival to even the vaunted Kaiserlich Marine and Royal Navy at their height in the Weltkrieg, it has defended America's shores and sallied forth to spread stability and democracy for nigh on 160 years. Yeah, just typical Navy bullshittery, you know, washing their hands. It was the Marines that did all that stuff in Central America, not us. We just dropped them off. Anyway... From John Paul Jones' raid on the British mainland, that's in the Based Hall of Fame, by the way. John Paul Jones, what a guy. Mainland to the Battle of Manila Bay, the Navy has provided the security needed by the Republic from those that would infringe upon our independence from beyond the seas. But then basically the ships are old and, you know, some people want new ones. But we're not ready. Well, speaking of the Marines, though, look. The Marine Corps fares better, hardened as they are by constant action in tropical locales, but they are small, only a few regiments strong, and are powerless to affect increasing tension at home from their far-flung island bases. You know, the Marines, so deadly, so vicious, that we must keep them away from civilians at all times. The Marines are great. Love the Marines. The Navy... I mean, I guess somebody's got to know how the water works. It's mostly a water world. You know? Did they ever... Gosh, I haven't played Stellaris in years now. Stellaris, now that's a classic example of a game that I really like, but I wish I was better at it so I could like it even more. Spanish Civil War is broken out, by the way. Wait, what's going on here? Oh! Italian State, they went nat pop. Dang. We're getting a... We're looking at kind of a hardened... Austrian Empire went social conservative, but it pretty much always does it. Honestly, how much of a difference is there between the social conservative and Democrats? I know there is, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, we got paternal autocratic Germany, nat pop Italy, France brought back the monarchy and is nat pop. Dominion Canyon, they're just social conservative, so not a whole lot happening there. So hey there, Ikarik. You missed the 3 streams between the first and this. Well, I'm glad you're back now. Alright, so we can pick up a chief of the army now, but there's not really any point in doing it because it would be for the United States. We are technically officially going to tag switch when the Civil War breaks out. Militarist revolt in Paraguay. More nat pops. I'm always so curious about what's going to go down in South America. A Patagonia win would be pretty cool. Although, yeah, you've been binge watching the Comnenos run. Oh, yeah. Did I ever get all of that uploaded? Because I remember the last thing I was able to record before the patch got broken, so like the save file wasn't good anymore, was I was about to start the Immortality quest line with my final Emperor or Empress, whichever it was. But I had freeformed the Empire and all that, which, gosh, that turned out to be a pain. Because like there's a couple, basically the way you activate the ability to recreate the Roman Empire, you have to have, you know, certain territories under your control. But there were some territories that the original Roman Empire never had control on, but the map says it did, so you had to conquer those. Yeah. Willie McDuff, the greatest character in Chuck Factory. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not going to modify the officer corps at the moment. I'm not totally sure yet what I want to do about my officer corps, incidentally. Because you can get nice bonuses from them, but they take away from your command power, and I really like having command power available for when you got to do like an emergency last stand, or you're trying to blitz until you do like an all-out offensive. So the command points are really crucial for that. Yeah. Let's see. Love the idea of Zukov basically being a mercenary general down there. Oh yeah, it's like the Patagonians, what they get, it's they get Zukov, Tukachevsky, and who else was it? Because I remember I played the Patagonians, although I think how did that end? I think I ended up just becoming regular Argentina, or was it? No, I might have done a couple. I've done so many Argentina campaigns over the years. You know, it's one of my faves. It tends to be written really well. But let me try. Okay, conquering history games Argentina, or no, not Argentina, or Patagonia. Patagonia. Yeah, of course I did it in Moe Reich because the soldiers are the ones from the Moe Reich version is the ones from Girls und Panzer. Which has that finally ended, by the way? Because it's like they were ending it on like a trilogy, right? Yeah, I gotta catch up with that sometime. You know what I hope happens, though? I don't know. We'll have to see. How does it pivot out? I would love to see the main characters go against, like, obviously there's the sister on sister fight, but I would want to see them fight the UK, because the UK be ducking them, you know. I want to see them deal with that Crusader, which sounds like a Formula One car. With, like, it's just pure speed. It's got a freaking jet engine on it in that show, but it's part of the fun. Let's see. Failed revolt in Ukraine. The future of the Hetmanate is secured with news that Republican forces have been driven out. So a democratic movement tried to overthrow this 3 times now. The Hetman has fought his own people. How many more will it be? Damn. So let's take a look at this guy here. So the current leader of the authoritarian democratic Ukrainian state is he is the Hetman. So they're getting a little more daily political power. Born in Prussia, not just Germany, but in Prussia. He's many things: an opportunist, a Cossack, a military officer, and a descendant from Ukrainian nobility. But most importantly, he is Hetman, the undisputed leader of Ukraine. Drawing his lineage from an 18th century hellman of the Zaporozhian host, Skorpadli rose up through Tsarist military ranks in a flash. During the Ukrainian Revolution, Pavlo Skorpadli became a chief organizer of the Ukrainian Army Corps and the numerous Cossack volunteer units, all of which sought to combat pro-Bolshevik militia. An avid opponent of socialism, I'm just going to call him SCO for short. SCO started plotting against the Ukrainian People's Republic with his allies among the landowners, capitalists, and military before culminating in its overthrow on April 29th, 1918. The so-called Ukrainian state was established, the Central Rada was abolished, and Skorpadsky seized full authority as Hellman, reversing the many reforms of the previous government. Still, Skoropadsky, here I said to say SCO for short, and then it... the Rada was abolished, and SCO seized full authority as Hetman, reversing the many reforms of the previous government. Still, SCO promised to hold elections to the Soim as soon as the political and financial situation was stable again. The next year, SCO would use his temporary powers to significant effect as he and General Kossitanli Krysoskovsky, definitely pronounced that right, commanding troops flushed with German military equipment, would crush Nestor Mako's anarchist revolt with an iron fist. With a German victory in the Weltkrieg and the end of the Russian Civil War, Ukraine set in for a period of peace. In 1920, the Council of Ministers passed a new constitution which gave significant judicial and legislative powers to the Somme and Senate, but retained some of the Hellman's powers from the old constitution, including the ability to appoint the Ottoman minister and to dissolve the Somme at will. Shortly after the 1924 election, SCO would form a grand coalition of right-wing parties and interest groups loyal to the Hetman, marking the beginning of a ruling circle that would rule Ukraine for 15 years despite undergoing significant change over time. SCO has defined the political landscape in Ukraine since its birth as a nation. Regardless of whether he is the tyrant and German puppet he is decried as, or whether he is the great symbol of Ukrainian unity and a vanguard against socialism he is praised as, none can deny he has made his mark on the country's history. It's like, we're going to build a monument to this guy. Are we going to spit on it or put flowers at the bottom? Well, we'll have to see. But we're going to build one. Okay. Serbian Republic. Here goes the Balkans. What's with the Balkans in war all the time? Oh, now that's at 15% tension. What was it that we were looking... Oh, yeah. Was it 15%? The Russian socialist state needed like a certain... Yeah, boom. 15% world tension. So we might see Russia soon in the next few months move into Central Asia here. Yeah, I'm very interested in how the Russian Socialist Republic is going to play out, because I've never seen this under the current setup in Kaiserreich. So, you know, that's going to be a really, really, really nice ally to have against Germany. And also against Japan a bit. Yeah. So, anyway, it's now Inauguration Day! Do you guys Do you guys like to watch inaugurate like any American? Well, you know, if you're equivalent, like if it's a prime minister in your country or something. But does anybody else try to take the time to watch inaugurations? I actually do, and they're every 4 years, and they don't take that long. I mean, you can at least watch the oath, I guess. But like, I've ever eaten a sandwich during no, I was eating a burger. I was eating a burger during Biden's, and I missed Trump's because I was working. Because it was the middle of the day. You know, the inaugurations are it's got to be high noon. Ish when it takes place. It's not a night event. So yeah, I think I had come off graveyard shift. So that's why I was gonna be able to watch it in the middle of the day. And then yeah, so I did that while eating a burger. I missed Trump's. I remember Obama's because the teacher was like, no class today, we're going to watch this because this is a historic moment. The first inauguration of an African American as president. So, missed some Spanish class for that. That was when they, had to wheel in the TV on the box, the box TVs on the platform things, the double-decker ones. You know what I'm talking about? Where I know the science kids know that one. Because it's like it's time for Bill Nye the Science Guy. Bill. Yeah, people. And then by the time you're getting to W, I'm like too young to think about that. Anyway, we'll talk about the inaugurations, then we'll talk about State of the Unions later, and my experience with them. So the president reads inaugural address. The country's social problems have forced the American people to turn to radical solutions. The two-party system has broken down, and Jack is to be sworn in as the 31st president of the United States, with Norman Thomas being sworn in as vice president. I always forget that. That Norman Thomas in this timeline is the vice president. In a stirring speech in Washington, D.C., Reed has pledged to defend the interests of the workers and work to help revolutionize society for the good of all Americans. However, the Socialist Party of America's slim majority in Congress means that it may find it challenging to pass meaningful legislation, especially in the Senate, where the AFP has promised to filibuster any law it sees as detrimental to America. Now, this is interesting because so I need to explain some internal American politics. So, man, I wish I had a way to draw. I need to get one of those writing tablets and have like a little, and then put something in the OBS, because I know I could do, how like you can draw on MS Paint with your mouse, but when you want to be for real, you get the stylus and you do that. I need to get one of those so that I can draw little illustrations. So I'm sorry, you'll have to do without pictures. Or actually, no, I know what I could do. Maybe. Hold on. Let me. No. I don't want to risk. How do I put that? So the United States of America has what's called a bicameral legislation. So there's not just one group of representatives that make up the legislative body. It's it's inspired by the British system, where you have the House of Lords and House of Commons, and they have different rights and responsibilities and etc. So there's the two bodies that make up the United States Congress, which is the legislative branch. The lower house is the House of Representatives, which is elected every 2 years. It's really big. There's like literally hundreds of members of that lower house in the House of Representatives. And it's distributed in proportion to the size of the state. So, Like Wyoming, or yeah, a lot of these out here, but like Wyoming has one representative in the House of Representatives, and Texas has like 30. Let me see, how many Texas congressional districts? Because it just got updated. There's 38. Yeah. Okay, not 36. There's now 38 representatives. So that's why it's like they get 38 electoral votes, but then plus the 2 for the Senate. But so every 2 years, the entire House of Representatives could, in theory, change. So like, if in theory there was some huge thing that happened politically speaking, and then you have every single incumbent in Congress, in the House of Representatives, turns over. The Senate, though, only has elections every 6 years, and then those are also divided where it's a third every 2 years. So even if there was like some huge wave thing, what ends up happening is that you could, in theory, have a 100% turnover in the lower party, or in the lower house, but in the higher house, the upper house, only a third of them are going to switch over. So it's a much more entrenched view towards longer term thinking part of the U.S. government, because 6 years. The president only gets 4 years. So you could have a couple of, depending on how things worked out, in like, okay, so like in 2 terms of Senate, you could go through 3 different presidents. And then, that the ratio keeps growing. So even though we were talking about earlier, this is why I'm explaining all of this, is because we talked about how, let's say that these percentages represented the body, the House of Representatives, the lower body of the U.S. Congress. There is that majority, and that's what this inauguration address said. They have this slim majority. And so, but in theory, it's like you can just start pushing stuff through the House if as long as the left doesn't split, which we've never heard of that happening, right? But then once it gets to the Senate, well, you're trying to pass all this workers' rights desegregation nonsense, and you got a governor, or not a governor, you got a senator from Mississippi. He got elected in like 1932. He's still got 2 more years. He doesn't care right now. He's got 2 years to still hold on to his seat. And his constituency probably is not happy with these stuff that the socialists are doing. So what happens is, even if you have a slim majority in the upper house, which I would imagine the CSA does not have, you would end up with, the thing with the filibuster is you need 60 of the 100 votes to break it. Although I may be misremembering how the exact rules were at this timeline I'm talking about right now, though. And so you could just threaten a filibuster to kill bills, because it's like, oh, and I'm not going to be able to get through it, especially if it's organized. And so, you could drag out a filibuster all summer long, as the Southern Democrats, the Dixiecrats, were doing with the all summer long in 1964. So we are going to, let the people rejoice. And so this is going to activate a mission. But first off, we got a little bit of political power, so that is nice. But it says here, we have to act quickly. Now that the election is over, the new government will need to take action, and quickly. Failure to act will likely mean intervention by the military to solve the crisis, even though acting carries no guarantee of the political crisis being solved. So, one of the following has to be true. You have to have completed the focus, enact sweeping reforms, or have completed the focus on longest, and Douglas MacArthur would be the country leader in it. Wait. Oh yeah, so it's basically we either have to do some reforms, we have to hone in on the longest, or MacArthur has couped us, and that'll get rid of this. But if we don't do this in 50 days, we'll lose 100 political power and get an event called Time's Up. So, geez, FDR had 100 days to get stuff done. We only got 50. All right. So I think the first thing we want to do here, I feel like this kind of is a summation of how Jack Reed is we do improve the workers' conditions. Factory work is hard and fraught with many hazards. Improving the conditions for our factory workers will reduce output in the short term, but the long-term benefits are worth it. So for a little while, for basically half a year, you'll get your factories will slow down. And also there's going to be more consumer good factories being used, but your weekly stability goes up by 0.5%. And stability, as I'm always saying, is everything in this game. And, right now we're at -94. So I think, we're role playing, right? I think Jack Reed here, he's going to say, this is the first things first. And I'll say once we get to the CSA, I'm going to be clicking this every single chance I get. Because I think a big, besides the military goal of taking Berlin, I want to see if it is possible to actually get to 100% stability as the CSA. Or it's really hard with any nation because Kaiserreich is just so brutal on its when it comes to the stability, especially in the early game. But we're going to see what does this. I actually don't know what the cooldown rate is on this either. I think it's like 2 years. I'm going to see if I can look that up. Conditions, Hoi 4, cooldown. What's going on here? Add to the base, so it persists after the... Okay, so it's about the base. Okay. Not sure. But anyway, let's click that. So we just got some political power. We immediately spend it on that. If we didn't have that plus 20, we actually would not have been able to do that. We also now need to pick a national focus. So President Reed is done. We can either enact sweeping reforms dismantling business trusts and reducing the power of private banks to expropriate property must be passed, even if they must be delivered via a presidential executive order. Or we could focus on the longest. America First and Huey Long will never allow a socialist agenda of any kind to restore America, and thus these radicals must be named persona non grata before anything else is done. And so I'm going to have you guys vote on this, actually. So the question is, what does Jack Reed do? And the two things are going to be enact reforms, or it's going to be target the longest. So like, what is the first move? I will let you guys decide how we roleplay this. And in the meantime, I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Anyway, so CHG gonna be doing work. Can't stay for long enough to vote. At least hope you will. Hope to catch up on it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, take care, Frenchan. All right, so I think you guys have had quite enough time to vote. So I'll just end the poll. Yeah, you too, Frenchan. So yeah, 81%. Dang. Sweep. Say enact the reform. So we're gonna dismantle business trusts. Executive by issuing an executive order. So this is basically when the president puts out something without it passing through the legislative branch. Sure. One of Reed's first acts as president to enshrine the rights is probably say is or was to enshrine the rights to collectively bargain in law. Unwilling to wait to overcome the Senate filibuster and citing the violent conflict between AFP and SPA paramilitaries, Reed passed an executive order that forced state and federal governments to recognize a union's right to exist and engage in collective bargaining without exception, thus forbidding yellow dog contracts. While the unions rejoice, many in the country denounce the executive order as a tyrannical act of the executive branch. For the union makes us strong. Okay, so we're gonna get big power buffs in Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York, Minnesota, and Iowa. So, oh goodness. Oh, Ohio.
Ohio is now fully controlled by the Socialist Party of America. Its allegiance to the federal government is non-existent.
And they're going, yeah, just in Ohio, Ohio meme state, they're just marching through the streets. For the union makes us strong. It's like, this is what happens when Cleveland Browns fans don't have a good football team. They start thinking about the union. Okay, I don't think we can get Dispersed Industry 2 in time. 107 days could be good. All right, we're gonna grab a logistics company here because, yeah, gotta go louder with router. No, I already did Totalist one. Wait a minute, is the anarchist in my chat, the Ukrainian anarchist, telling me, man, we need to get that totalism going? Ohio Lord shaking in his boots right now, yeah. Everyone's gonna pay Ohio tax. No more taxes to Washington. Taxes only to Ohio. What's going on here? Oh, the Socialists have assumed full control in Norway. After winning the elections and forcing King Haakon VIII to abdicate, the Socialist Party of Norway has today ratified a new constitution which fully turns the country in a syndicalist state, just like France and Britain before them. With another piece of the chessboard joining the syndicalist cause, the balance of power in Europe shifted again in the great game of chess between the revolution and the old order, but we have yet to see how Norway itself will affect the overall state of affairs. Norway finally broke its chains. Yes, that is very good. I'm telling you guys, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an event in the game or if it's something that's in the code. But whenever Horner wins, Norway goes socialist. So yeah, didn't I call that? Very pleased with that. So the bourgeois are furious from New York to San Francisco. The rich and powerful protest Reed's election in the Hearst papers, or the Hearst rags, more like it. And in congressional addresses, it's clear that the upper class is furious at the enforcement of Order 7080 and have begun to radicalize against the SPA as a result. Let reactionary shout. Now we've got negative political power once again. Oh, and there you go. Sweden joined the Reichspakt, so They did. Look at this. This happened immediately. Immediately, as soon as Norway went socialist, Sweden got on the phone. So, hey Willie, how you doing? You know how like we've got steel and resources? Let's have a conversation. Oh. So yeah, this is it. This is my last playthrough as Concrete History Games. Alright, I got some more executive orders here. Executive Order 7089, a halt on foreclosures. By the way, did I even talk about Jack Reed, who our guy is? Let's go through this. Man, maybe I should have done that before I had you guys vote on how you want to play him. But no, it's fine. So, directing the Secretary of Commerce, that's what this executive order does, to temporarily take possession of and operate the facilities of certain financial companies. The inability to deal with the Great Depression had been the death of two major parties, and it could have been the death of the SPA as well, unless Reed acted quickly and decisively. Believing that the corrupt financial sector was primarily responsible for creating and prolonging the Depression, Reed has moved to nationalize the banks of Wall Street to force them to act in the public rather than the private good. So just to make sure that that's clear. That's like how, like, okay, we talked about the Great Recession, right? And then there was the bank bailout. This is where Reed is going, we're not bailing them out, we're taking them. Yeah, so wait, National for Public rather than Private Good. This includes stopping banks from foreclosing on bankrupt homeowners. A filibuster by Senator Roosevelt has which, like, is that Quentin? I'm wondering. A filibuster by Senator Roosevelt has forced Reed to resort to an executive order, appealing yet again to national security. While popular with the lower classes, many of the upper classes claim Reed is drunk on his power and well on his way to declare himself a dictator. Because, yeah, now if you're bankrupt, you at least still get your house. So Minnesota and Iowa, we've got that so locked down. Now let's take a look at what Huey Long has to say about Reed, and then we'll actually take a look at Reed himself. Although they agreed on little else, the Democrats, Republicans, and the America First parties have been quick to denounce Reed publicly across the nation for the enactment of Executive Order 7080, claiming that it to be an overreach. There's definitely, man, I'm finding all these typos in here. Overreach of the executive branch and the start of the slide into tyranny. Huey Long has gone so far as to avow to not follow any law that dictator Reed imposes upon America. Long followed up by comparing President Reed to Vladimir Lenin, almost gloating that Reed would share Lenin's fate. Shut up, Long. So, okay, yeah. Now the America First Party is entrenching itself in Louisiana, New Orleans, Oklahoma, North Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. But I don't think that might not actually be such too big of a deal, because I think those are all areas that the control was basically total anyway. It's like how we just got a buff in Minnesota. Like we've got Minnesota locked down. Ohio locked down. Pittsburgh locked down. Philadelphia locked down. Like these are totally ours. These are the people we're following. Reed, not the government. We're just following the government because the government's following Reed. At least that's perception, right? Hold on a sec. Let me. Throat's a little parched. Okay. We do not have any national focuses to take. So that means that we're going to just start gaining an extra political power each day. The Supreme Court hears the case on Order 7089. Boy, that was quick. The Supreme Court has allowed the first challenge to Executive Order 7089, Paul Matic versus Standard Oil of California, to be heard. The case is brought by Paul Matic to argue that Standard Oil's monopolistic power has overtaken democratic power. The accusation of Standard Oil bribing the Boston City Council is being taken very seriously. The nation waits to see if Reed's power will be checked or whether the SBA will continue to enact their agenda in defiance of the Senate. The court must decide in our favor. That's just so funny. It's like Standard Oil is like, this is tyrannical overreach. And yeah, I bribed the city council, but this is wrong too. Or something like that. What is this? Frohr Production says, when I was still on the Kaiserreich team as a portrait artist, I made a bunch of portraits for African leaders. Hope you get to see them in your last, I'm sure you're trying to say last playthrough. Yeah, the court must decide in our favor. You know what I just realized I'm going to do? Because I know the Civil War is going to break out and our people will have to come home. I think we're going to intervene, like Jack Reed, for sure, is sending the Marines overseas. Yeah, definitely that is happening. So, we are... Okay. We're going to... yeah, first off, let's get a non-aggression pact, of course. But, send volunteers. Oh, it's because I already sent... Oh, we need the world tension to be at 100% before we can send volunteers. Dang it. Come on. What can we do there? We can ask the military, ask us... How can I send material support? Oh, we can't do anything because the political crisis are... Yeah, stability is down, generate... Yeah, material support tension limit and request and sending volunteers. It's all at 100%. Dang it, they saw my ass coming. I want to help them in some way. Negotiate licenses. Oh, I'm a clever little boy here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to negotiate license with them. So I haven't used the negotiate license in a while. So it's basically you can get access to something with better technology in exchange for factories that you pay to the person you were requesting from. So like if you're playing Romania, you got a lot of oil, but you don't really have, maybe you don't have the technology to have the kind of tanks that you would want. So what do? You approach Adolf up in Germany and you say, I want to, can you give me your tank designs and I will pay you for them so that I can build tanks, which I can actually run because, I'm Romanian and I got oil, which is pretty great. So, oh yeah, we didn't talk about Reed either. Sorry, I keep forgetting to do that. Let's read this executive order, and then yeah, we have to wait. Oh, they accepted our request though. Hold on. Let me see what's going on here. Directing the Secretary of the Interior to temporarily take possession of and operate the facility of certain mining companies. Executive Order 7100. The belief that public land was a public good is essential to most left-leaning parties, and the flagrant abuse of public land by mining companies had long been a source of deep bitterness for the transcendentalists. To most of Reed's cabinet, it was clear that private mining companies would be entirely unable to balance the needs of the public with their greed, and moved to nationalize the drilling and mining companies, including Standard Oil, whose Supreme Court case against Executive Order 7089 was still pending. It's like, yeah, dude, go ahead. Bring your case to court against my executive order. In the meantime, I own your company now. That's what Reed is doing here. This has been seen by me. Yeah, I'm going to own your company and then dismiss the lawsuit. It's Standard Oil versus USA, isn't it? And I'm Standard Oil. Standard Oil will decide your fate. I am Standard Oil. Just, why am I making Jack the evil emperor? He's like so young looking too. He's like Palpatine. Anyway, I agree with you, Captain Honey. Yeah, Spain is... how do I describe? I mean, I'm talking about all mods, not just Kaiserreich. I sometimes feel that Spain is a mile wide and an inch deep. People just kind of just make the factions, but the thing is, Spain could just turn into you're just reading a book if you really started to get into like the sub factions within the different factions. It could, yeah. Anyway, let's read this. So yeah, the mining, we're executive order. It's been seen by many as an attack against a political rival and further confirmation that Reed wishes to turn America into a syndicalist state like the Commune of France or the Union of Britain. America's resources belong to the people. Hold on. I need to check my window. Alright, I'm back. I don't hear the music really. There we go. I hope the music volume has been okay for y'all as well. Okay, and oh shoot. Hold on, guys. I missed a phone call. Yeah, guys, I gotta take this phone call. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Don't worry, I don't have to leave right now. Oh, hey, stopped on Valentine's Day again. But, so it says our order of negotiate licenses was accepted. So what we're basically doing, think of it this way, we're buying their factories. We're saying, hey, I need some of this stuff, but I'll like pay for it. So this is how he frickin', oh my gosh, this is the play. This is the sneaky play. This is, because, like FDR, he had the Lend-Lease thing where he's like, look, we're just giving them these destroyers and they'll give them back when they're done. Or the, leasing stuff in the Pacific, and, all those indirect ways that like he was helping Churchill in the United Kingdom. So that's what Reed does here. Like, there's a political crisis. So maybe even there's even syndicalist senators and congressmen are like, Mr. President, we have got no fucking time for Spain. We got to work this out now. And he's like, dang it, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So I go, well, we're not helping syndicalist Spain. We're buying from them. In fact, we want to buy their weapons to make sure that they don't do anything with them. But actually, it's not even weapons. We're gonna, because you know what? Everybody could use civilian trains, and we'll buy them later. So I'm gonna say, let's buy some civilian trains. We're just buying medical stuff from them. Or geez, I want to buy guns. I actually don't want to buy guns because the Federalists will get their hands on it. But it's like we're just purchasing stuff. We're not doing anything. We're not funding the war. We're funding our own recovery. Yeah. So I think, like, let's see. How do I do this? How do I look at their factory count now? I'm trying to remember where. I don't know if I can see it if I'm the one giving them the factories, but basically, yeah, there's the thing. I'm sending factories to them. Yeah, here we go, like from trade. So you see, we have 176 we have 176 factories that we've built, and we're being paid 20 factories worth of stuff for our trade. But this is probably already calculated to like for a net. Basically, if you were to open up the CNT FAI, this is a little loud. Hold on. Okay. If you opened up the CNT FAI construction tab, you'd see that they're now getting factories from me for this. Okay, packing the court right as the anti-air guns finished. Ship the plans to Chicago quickly. Although Reed has shown no sign of concern over Paul Maddock versus Standard Oil of California in public, his administration is concerned that the conservative-leaning Supreme Court could rule 7-2 in favor of the capitalists and revert whatever reforms had been already put in place. Citing Lincoln's court packing during the Civil War as precedent, and that's true, there were 10 Supreme Court justices under Lincoln, although it's my understanding that the congressional Republicans went to him and said, like, you want another judge? And Lincoln went, well, if you're offering... I don't want to be rude. So, Reed has asked Senate Majority Leader Meyer London to remove the filibuster for judicial appointees. I think that was the was that the Democratic nominee in it? Maybe, I'm not sure. And has increased the size of the Supreme Court to 15. It is clear that he intends to appoint 6 pro-socialist justices to the bench, which will ensure his executive orders will remain constitutional. This has provoked a firestorm of protest, even from the left-leaning farmer, labor, and progressive parties, which had up until now remained neutral or supportive of Reed. We must defend the workers, whatever it takes. Yeah, we're getting really close here. I guess I might try to get basic armor protection, but I think at this point, we're gonna get construction to the field hospital and the logistics company, so that's gonna all be great to take over when the move happens. Having said that, as soon as we switch over to CSA, I'm getting the support weapons upgrade. Got to do that very quickly. So yeah, we might get these 4, but anything else, I don't think it's gonna happen. So violence against the SPA spreads. In the immediate aftermath of Reed's court packing, former Governor Huey Long has come out aggressively against Reed, all but calling for an armed uprising. Whole counties and states, especially in the South, are refusing to accept Reed's executive orders as law, and there's been a massive increase in reported violent clashes between the Minutemen and SPA militia. Unless order is restored, the country is bound for a civil war. The police should be helping the people. So look, we're at 94 stability, and like we just literally cannot go lower. Here. Clashes between Minutemen and police. This calls for resistance. Call for resistance. Yeah, police clashes with the Minutemen is happening. Members of the General Defense Committees help the police restore law and order, but in the Deep South, the Minutemen effectively have complete control. Somebody stop Long! And then Collins is gone out here in Ireland. So William O'Brien is in charge now. Let's see. MacArthur marches on Washington. March 8th, 1937. Dang it, I thought I had a little more time. Oh, shoot, no, I didn't because of... That is more than a little annoying. Oh, wait, no, we can at least get the field hospitals done because I have like 10 days before this decision goes away. So, yeah, we have 11 days. Or the research. Get the field hospital plans. Boom, plans. And then, you know what I'm going to do? Just to be a freaking bee. No, it doesn't work like that. Actually, I was just thinking I could switch and then I'll lose the research. But I don't think that does that anymore. Or like caps at 10 days or whatever. Or... yeah, anyway. Pretty much over. Reed's support, it's so reader. You see, you can't do read into over, you know, you know, it's so Rover, you know, Rover, the Pink Panther, the Italian. I probably sound like a lunatic. But anyway, Reed's support. How about we read this damn thing? Reed's support in Washington, D.C. has finally bottomed out. Chief of Staff General Douglas MacArthur marched on the White House today with National Guard and Army units to restore order, having declared President Reed to be incapable of properly carrying out the functions of a constitutional president and attempted to arrest him at the White House. MacArthur's marchers reminded many in D.C. of Cox's army of 1932, except that these were cheered instead of booed. Having been tipped off by SPA informants in MacArthur's command staff, however, President Reed was able to stay ahead of General MacArthur's men and has escaped the capital by motorcade. MacArthur has chosen to inhabit the White House the White House and coordinate an investigation into Reed's actions from the Oval Office. Some are even suggesting that should Vice President Norman Thomas prove equally incapable, General MacArthur might be sworn in as provisional president. My allegiance was to the Republic, MacArthur, to democracy! And boom, Reed is out. So now Douglas MacArthur, the American Caesar, is in charge. That's going to help with his division attack and defense. Man, the Federalists can actually get pretty damn strong. I remember that. Gosh, I'm so tempted to... This happens every time I do any of the America's campaigns. I go, man... Like, I'm playing the CSA now, and I'm going, man, I gotta do a MacArthur run. And then, I'll end up doing MacArthur run, and I'll go, man... I gotta do a Pacific States run. Like, yeah. Like here it's like, you know, MacArthur's gonna be our enemy, but in the MacArthur run, he's like trying to keep the country together. But then you do a Pacific run, and you're going, well, MacArthur is Caesar. He is distorted and perverted and twisted the American democracy into his own ends, and we must restore it. And then you're going, it's been a while since I did Huey Long Dong. And, you know, it's just the never-ending story, always playing America. Okay, so let's read his thing. So, born a military brat and spending his childhood moving from one camp to another. Okay, quick story. They're just, CHG, can you just play the damn game? There is a fort around here, kind of in like southern New Mexico. Is it Fort Collins? I think it's called. But it was this old cavalry outpost for like security and for protection against raids, and it was kind of near the Rio Grande. Although I personally thought it was weird. It wasn't really close enough. It kind of was like a 2-mile walk, I think. And like they had to get the water every day. It just wasn't a very hospitable. New Mexico is hard. The Southwest is hard on people. But MacArthur lived there when he was a kid because his father was one of the cavalry officers out here in the middle, like basically the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. You go visit that place again. I haven't been there. So born a military brat and spending his childhood moving from one army camp to another, Douglas MacArthur asserts that he learned to ride and shoot before he could read or write, and those skills were what he tied the rest of his career to. The most successful son of Lieutenant General Arthur MacArthur, he followed the steps of his father and enrolled in the United States Military Academy of West Point, then immediately to fighting against insurgencies in the Philippines and the occupation of Veracruz during the Mexican Revolution. By the 1920s, he was already the youngest major general in the United States Army and the superintendent of West Point, which he reformed to address the changes in modern warfare since the Valkyrie. After service in his old academy, he returned to his second home, the Philippines, but his time there was brief, as a deteriorating situation in the United States forced him to return in 1930. As political battles raged in Congress and behind closed doors, MacArthur's name kept being mentioned as a blessing or a curse. Everyone knew of this persona and everyone knew what it stood for. To imagine that the United States Army could intervene in civilian politics, undermine democracy as if it was some tin pot Latin American dictatorship and not the birthplace of democracy was a hard pill to swallow for many in the upper echelons of government. President Hoover found himself relying upon MacArthur's strong-arm control of the army more and more to prevent a collapse of order, and now that he's gone, the general made no surprises and did exactly what was foretold. Probably supposed to say the general surprised no one and did exactly what was foretold. Wrapping himself in the Wrapping himself in the corpse of American democracy, MacArthur now commands a junta of conservative politicians and business interests to defend the America they hold dear from everyone on the political spectrum. To what end? To be a Cincinnatus or a Caesar? Only the flamboyant, egotistical, yet surprisingly enigmatic general in Washington knows. Okay, so that is the enemy. That's who just fucking couped us, man. So President Reed escapes to Chicago. I'm so tempted to do like some scummy like division deleting or something. Everyone's gonna have time to prep. It's not worth it. But okay. Oh shoot. Wait, when did I start? Has it been 2 hours? No, it's only been 1 hour. Okay, no. I got another hour max. Select the Navy focus. We already have. But President Reed has escaped to Chicago and declared that MacArthur is a traitor to the people of America. His calls have gained a great deal of support in the Steel Belt, and a number of governors have already announced that they do not recognize the illegitimate authority of the current government. They have closed off their borders to American soldiers, raising a chilling specter of the Civil War the country experienced less than a century ago. There was definitely Civil War veterans who were alive watching this happen. So here's what we're going to do. Reed escapes. So what I think I'm going to do, this could be fun at some point. Maybe, and we'll have it be part of this farewell campaign. Do something where it's like, I delete every division. You know, delete the navies, delete everything. Because, like, I'm a scumbag player who, you know, can't win the right way. But then stay as MacArthur. And try to win from that negged hard position. That could be fun, I think. Maybe we'll do that after the you know what? I hope somebody reminds me to do it. We could do something where I'll play through the Civil War as the CSA, I'm gonna win. You know, people are always saying, the CSA is OP, the CSA is OP. What I'll then do is, like, as soon as it's done, you know, we make a save file because we got there. Then load up this backed up save file and win it as a crippled MacArthur so that I could say, y'all just suck if you can't beat the CSA, because the CSA is not OP. It's just, like any of the all the factions have their strengths. Really, I think the hardest to win with is often the PSA. But it also depends on a lot of circumstances, like, is New England around? You know, what's the Canada situation? And a lot of different things. But anyway, I've preached about this 1,000 times. So let's keep moving here. So let's go President Reed, MacArthur, back up, save scenario. What do you guys think of that? If I were to do that, I think it could be interesting. So the revolution has begun. Stand by the workers. Okay, here we are. We need them to boom, popped out. Great. Okay, so first things first, make a save. CSA day 1 backup file. So let's just go through the all these one by one, and hey, maybe we should finally read the Reed thing, which I didn't earlier. So who is John Silas Jack Reed? Well, he's an all-American worker, which is going to increase our war support and factory output by 10%. But now, if the AI was playing him, he also would be a little bit more focused on defense, like defending the CSA areas. He was born on October 22nd, 1887 in Portland, Oregon, United States of America. As the United States crashed into flames and a syndicalist revolution grew in the Steel Belt, at its forefront stood John Jack Reed, a writer, a trade unionist, a journalist, and a senator. If not more. Born to a business family in the West Coast, he lived an unassuming upper class life until studies at Harvard, where he, coming into contact with socialist clubs and literature, came to realize there was a world beyond the dull halls of college, and that world suffered constant hardship. Despite being in poor health from birth, Reed chose a traveler's life, working from a common laborer to making a living and travel from nation to nation and gaining fame as a war correspondent. So, for example, he spent time in Mexico. He wrote about that. That's some of his more famous work. What earned him more fame, however, was his involvement in the great revolutions of the period. The first he witnessed was the Mexican one, as early as 1913. So I was talking about Mexico. Then the Russian one in 1917, which he worked for devoutly and which consolidated his revolutionary socialist beliefs. It was during this time period that he wrote the 10 Days That Shook the World, his most famous work, which I'll actually later on read a bit from. In 1918, he returned to America, but was no longer welcomed by America and its anti-sedition acts, so a year later he fled again, this time to France, to a new brewing revolution, and unlike the Russian one, actually successful. Fighting alongside the French syndicalists dictated Reed a goal in life: to import this success to America. to have it be the next to come, and with America's unfathomable industrial might, bring forth a world revolution. A long time has passed since then, and Reed has achieved far. What he achieved far? He has helped orchestrate the union of American Socialists into one united front, served as a senator, as the presidential candidate, and has finally called the Steel Belt to revolution. However, his goal remains the same, to be the next great revolutionary, to be the same figure greater than life which the lowly war correspondent from 20 years ago would write about. So, we're gonna, so this is the guy. He's our leader at the moment. And let's see what he is gonna do. And like I said, I'm going to read, and not until the blood starts shedding, but I'm going to later read a little bit from 10 Days to Shook the World. I've got a copy of it. Got an older, beat-up one. Not much in the way of margins of the book. It's not too terribly long. Well, it is about 300 pages, and it is kind of dense, I suppose. Not light reading. A lot of talking about procedure and organization. So, let's start figuring out what we want to research. As I was saying, first things first, we got to get the mortar men up and running. Atomic weapons are becoming more portable. Submachine guns have already proven effective, and the development of handheld support weapons must continue. So we could just get that. Just a nice buff all around. Okay. We're beginning the pre-Dr. Manhattan, or Manhattan Project. We have the heavy tank chassis. We will begin to figure out, okay, this thing needs armor, first and foremost. You see, tanks during the Great War only had to contend with enemy small arms. As such, they got away with fairly thin armor. A new generation of anti-tank weaponry has made the battlefield a much more dangerous place for a tank, and much heavier protection is needed. So this will require chromium, which is one of the few things I think I don't have. So again, this is going to be a post-war thing. All right, we're gonna want to develop the artillery more. We've got engineers. Where is the naval? Yeah, here's transports. Do I want to pump up the special forces? No, 298 days. Not yet. Not yet on that. Okay, industry. Dispersed industry. Yeah, let's get this up, and let's get construction up, because repair speed is going to be really important. Okay, next, we've got some free civilian factories. I think we need to immediately begin with military factories. You know, I usually, early game, am a proponent of civilian factories for a while, but, you know, we need the military factories now. Well, the war has actually not begun yet, the Pebble Institute. It's literally day one here. So, anyway, we're going to, build all these up. Hopefully, I feel like Illinois would be the first place they get built, but Illinois can be difficult. I'll tell you guys, this is gonna be considered the secondary front, and oh man, guys, get freaking comfortable, because we're gonna talk through this war like we're students studying the history of it. In a way, and I think it's gonna be fun to do, and like what are gonna become the legendary moments and myths and achievements and the shocking moments. Oh geez, we do not. What is going on with New Jersey? We have high control. Is this a new thing where New Jersey maybe doesn't break away, so New York City gets isolated? Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? They're used to being surrounded. They mostly live on an island. And it's a long island, right? You know? But like, Lost Battalion in the Weltkrieg, oh my gosh. There is a timeline in Kaiserreich Where, yeah, the Paris Commune. Yeah, there's a timeline I'm now realizing in Kaiserreich where people who in our, like New Yorkers who in our timeline were in the Lost Battalion, they never went to World War One. But then the Second American Civil War happens instead, and so they're all like 20 years older, and they end up like at some point in the fighting, maybe they get trapped on a city block for a little bit and then are rescued, and that's the Lost Battalion. You know, guys who are in like their 40s though. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna have fun amidst the as we bathe in the bloodshed that is the Second American Civil War. Man, you know, if there's ever a Second American Civil War, the internet will stay up. There's gonna be Twitter. People will be tweeting about the war. And it's like, it just makes me think of 2 years ago when things escalated in Ukraine, because they've been going on before 2022. But when things escalated, I saw a screenshot of somebody saying, "I've always hated war. And I've always hated Twitter. But I really wasn't prepared for how much I was going to hate war Twitter." Okay, so we have some we have 2 military factories available to us. Okay, first things first, we need guns. Second thing, not support trucks, artillery, or anti-air. We need trains. We need logistics. Logistics are gonna be the name of the game here. As the CSA, we have the workers, we have the people, we have the factories. We are going to out-industrialize them. We're gonna hopefully have relatively well-equipped soldiers. You know, me and what, you know, going up against some poor bastards from North Carolina. Although I think, do they always get North Carolina? Total control, yeah, they're gonna get North Carolina for sure. But it's like, yeah, some poor bastards from North Carolina who only one out of 3 of them actually has a proper rifle, like a military issue rifle, instead of what they just brought from home. So all these little things are gonna add up, but like trains that we could move the food and the ammo and the people to the front to really help with that supply line. Like right now, our needs are technically filled, but it's, you know, we don't really have anybody out there yet. Okay, and then we'll start doing more when more factories come online. It's gonna take a minute. All right, tanks. We can, yeah, we actually cannot get a chassis or anything going because we don't have even the army experience. But all right, so dockyards. We're just going in on convoys. I'm not gonna just for when and if I need a trade and things like that. We're not going to worry too much about naval fighting, which could possibly, even probably, I'll say, come bite me in the ass at some point, because we're gonna not be watching the coastline, and then somebody's gonna like naval invade me or something. Okay, national focus. There's only one option, I think. Yeah, the Second Continental Army. The revolution has begun. Zeal and enthusiasm are pouring forth as people line up to support our brave volunteers. Regular Chicagoans even say that we'll take Washington in a week, and then the reactionaries will surely collapse. People are ready to get rid of the capitalist government, so in 70 days we'll get 20 army experience, so that means we can get a tank chassis going, but also we can modify some of our existing infantry, or we could maybe hire an officer and things like that. And it's going to modify our Red Guard militias, making their organization and max planning better. So let's do that. That also, you know, then let's hold off now on these divisions here, on these other alerts, and take a look at our national spirits. So yeah, you'll see here in the CSA, there is nobody to the right of farmer laborer. There's still 12% of people in here. Like, everybody's arming. People are like, you know, looking at the smuggled plans for you know, how to build a field hospital. And the farmer laborers are just, guys, we'll get them in the midterms. You'll give it 2 years. Well. Excuse me. I need to figure out. I might need to change which monitor I. Oh, no. I just need to flip this. Okay, do that. And No. Hold on. Trying to get the chat. There we go. Okay, I can see the chat again. Great. So we've got here no division. Oh yeah, wait, no. Before we look at the no divisions, we're gonna look at the national spirits. Yeah, just one more election. Just one more election. You know, they're talking to a neighbor whose brother was killed, by air fire somewhere in the Battle of Baltimore, and it's like, look, just trust in 2 years. An election's gonna work and solve this, okay? And of course, then 2 years after that, we'll also have to get some people out of the Senate. Okay, so the national spirits we have Red Guard militias. So because these are like these aren't National Guard soldiers. These are paramilitary units. I would definitely imagine that most of the National Guardsmen just pivoted to the federal government, except for maybe in the most radical of the states. So like Louisiana, the Louisiana National Guard's probably definitely going to pivot to Huey Long. Same thing in Illinois. They're going to get in, and in New York they're going to pivot into Reed. Just vote the longest paramilitaries out. Yeah. So because these are not like as professional soldiers, or not professional at all, perhaps, the organization's down, the attack is down. We're going to take 20% more experienced soldier losses, because also, that's just a lot of things that, just that could make the difference. But it's like, part of being a soldier, like you learn basic combat life saving, right? How to put a freaking tourniquet on at least. So we're not going to have that in the militias, I'd imagine. Your max planning minus 40%. Okay, the rightful president. So, I think. You know what I think? This has already been here, but I forgot. The rightful president buff. You get extra speed, organization, and reinforcement. So I guess Who needs formal training when you have field testing? The Mongols never went to basic training. Oh, you're gonna look me in the eye and say the Mongolians didn't do their freaking they didn't practice their archery. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like there's a super underrated an extremely underrated World War II movie called The Big Red One, which is directed by a guy who was a World War One veteran, or not a World War II veteran. He was a World War II veteran who fought in the Big Red One, which is the 1st Infantry Division of the United States. And which, I shouldn't be talking about their lore. We have a new army, so we're going to need new legendary divisions. But there's a part in it where they're fighting through Italy, and they're going through the ruins of a city, and they're worried about snipers. And it's like, okay, who's running point? And it says, yeah, here's what you do: you send one guy out, and if he gets shot, there's a sniper there. They thought that one up at West Point. All right, so we don't have any divisions in basic training right now, so let's kind of just take a look at what we got here. We got some mobile divisions. I'm actually gonna say no on that. I don't want to spend the trucks. We have a Continental Infantry Division, which is actually not too shabby at all. We've got here some support artillery for the better soft attack. Gotta have artillery. Engineering, you better believe this also has to be artillery. So this is gonna be a big part of these are going to be our main frontline forces even later game. Like I might make these 20 width later, but this at least basic structure, a 20 width with artillery and engineers. If you're not at least this strong, you're not going to be on the front lines when the Second World War comes. But these will be like elite now and really nice later. Okay, Continental armor. Yeah, we're not going in on the tanks, so that's irrelevant. We have some light infantry here, so some mountaineers with recon. That's cool. And we also have the Continental Marines, who have engineers. They're only combat with 8. That's a shame. Let me think. Okay. The Red Guard, so... How do I forget, is it you hold shift and click? No. Wait, no. How do I... Okay, so what is the difference between these two? So Continental Infantry, no, back. So the Continental Infantry, 227 HP, 72 soft attack. But, like, what's the difference between these individual... Oh, these are militias. Okay. So, like... Those are infantry. So this is mobile combat support. No. Wait, no. Cancel that. Remove. Yeah. So these are clearly weaker, though. Like, the HP is lower, soft attack, etc. So these are going to be units that we're calling up from, you know, the citizenry. Continental Line. Yeah, wow, just regular infantry. The Continental Cavalry. Certainly options for different styles of play, but I think what we're going to, like, at least immediately do is try to get... Well, let's get one division. Let's get the 5th Red Warriors up and running. Just so the alert goes away. Because also, if I remember correctly, the Red Guard units that you can call up during the Civil War, they will disband at the end of the war. But if you have been recruiting from the population, like actual sending through basic training, that army should stick around. Okay. So we have several divisions here. We have 10 divisions available to us. The All Illinois, the Vanguards, the Second Revolutionaries, the Cotton Ballers, the Regulars, and then these must be baseball teams and their fans. The Jersey Devils, the Bronx Yankees, the New York Reds, and the Brooklyn Teamsters. So we've got 4 just over here. So you know what? Let's have this be its own thing then. This is hold on. So this is gonna be the New Yorkers. This is the stuff. This is where things are gonna slow down because I like playing with these. So the Jersey Devils, the Bronx Yankees, the Reds, and the Teamsters. Okay. Let's see if we get to keep them after the war. So these ones are... Well, yeah, these are Continental Infantry. So that's, like, the best that we have right now, anyway. And then this one's, like... This is sort of the Midwesterner, so we're gonna name this the Midwest Militia, even though they're infantry. Okay. And we need to start getting people to the front lines ASAP. So these Midwesterners, for right now, we're going to have them kind of just right here in Western Illinois, which they can't really reach either. But there goes the American Union State. Oh, shoot, they got South Texas, though maybe not. We'll see. I feel like, oh my gosh, the Great Chicago-New York Alliance, whoever heard of such a thing? I feel actually that there would be this priority to quickly get New York City united, although that's going to leave Chicago alone. Old gimlet eyes. Aren't those the things that you put your laces through? Gimlet eyes, like on a boot? You know what I'm talking about? Dang, it's called again. No, it's alright. We're gonna rename, yeah, so gimlet eyes are eyes with a piercing stare. Huh, okay. Still not huge. It's a reference to Spedley, Butler's Men. Oh wow, there's a... Hold on, I just... It looks like the U.S. Marine Corps Museum has a article about this. So it says, why does one of the greatest Marine legends of all time share his nickname with a famous cocktail? When there was Prohibition in 1920, the mayor ran on Law and Order, and he hired a new director of public safety. Somebody above... What? Smedley Butler held a civilian government job? Okay, hold on. I'm going to actually read all of this. I'm going to read all of this now. Although this is like, wait, we're talking about Gimlet. We're talking about cocktail. I got to check that out. I actually was having a cocktail just last night. Went out to a jazz bar. It was okay. Actually, you know what was funny? Well, first let's get the music up. Yes. Here we go. No copyright, calm jazz music. A night alone, but we're not alone. It's daytime. Let's see. Okay, there's one here called Bet on It. I like that. Okay. So now that we've set the mood, let's read this thing. And then I'll somebody remind me to talk about the brass players that I saw. So why does one of the greatest Marine legends of all time share his nickname with a famous cocktail? Following the enactment of the National Prohibition Act in 1920, illegal... But let me know if I feel like the music's too loud. Sorry. There we go. Following the enactment of the National Prohibition Act in 1920, illegal bootlegging criminals thrived. The city of Philadelphia was particularly hard struck. Their newly elected mayor, W. Freeland Kendrick, ran for office on a platform of restoring law and order. At the top of his list was hiring a new director of public safety. The mayor wanted a man above the corruption of local politics. Chief among his desired qualifications was someone with military experience, able to bring discipline and integrity to the city's police department. A Pennsylvania native known for his unblemished integrity, Brigadier General Smedley Darlington Butler was the ideal candidate. A true Marine, Butler did not wish to leave his beloved corps, so he opted to request 1 year of leave to serve in the civilian position. At the mayor's request of President Calvin Coolidge, Butler's leave was granted. It led to a tumultuous 2-year stint, a charismatic campaign to end illegal speakeasies and curb criminal activity in Philadelphia. Butler made numerous enemies, but also won the admiration of many for his sincerity, fair-handedness, and hard work. But how did a Prohibition public safety director earn the nickname Old Gimlet Eye? And how was he associated with a cocktail whose ingredients dated from the Royal Navy in the late 19th century? During his service in Nicaragua, Butler led an assault on the city of Granada. It's just, well, oh gosh, this is, I know people love it about when they learn history, but it's a love-hate thing where it's just, but how? Well, we have to go even further back, you see. It's like, God damn it, Grandpa. It was funny when you talk about tying onions. Ugh. Okay, but anyway. During his service in Nicaragua, Butler led an assault on the city of Granada. Despite a 104-degree malaria-induced fever, his tenacious leadership and ferocity inspired his fellow Marines. There they coined the nickname Old Gimlet Eye. It stuck. Their exact intention in calling him this remains unclear. Prior to his days as a prohibitionist, Butler was known to enjoy the occasional cocktail. Additionally, in malaria-prone regions, it was not uncommon for foreigners to ingest impressive quantities of gin or other beverages paired with medicinal quinine to help ward off disease. In letters to his wife, Ethel, Butler noted he had served for a week without food, taking only quinine and lemonade. Whether the drink was spiked or not, we may never know. But his men undoubtedly saw the officer with a piercing glare and a green-colored beverage. So the nickname stuck. So now here's the cocktail. Much like Smedley Butler's nickname, the exact origins of the gimlet cocktail are unclear. It first began appearing in cocktail books in the late 1920s and gained popularity in the United States in the 1950s. But the history of Rose's lime juice, its primary ingredient, began much earlier. In order to stave off scurvy, Royal Navy sailors were often encouraged to drink lime juice. Early efforts to preserve the fruit, however, used high-proof alcohols, and the results were problematic. In 1867, Scotsman Lochan Rose created a solution. Based on sugar, he created a long-lasting, non-alcoholic cordial that could be mixed with other liquids that would not spoil. It was a success and became a key part of the gimlet cocktail. The product continues to be produced to this very day. To make your own historically accurate gimlet, see the following recipe. The gimlet cocktail. 60 millimeters or 2 U.S. fluid ounces of gin. 15 millimeters or half a U.S. fluid ounce of Rose's lime juice cordial. Pour in a cocktail shaker filled with ice. Shake vigorously, keeping your eyes peeled for Philadelphia policemen. And pour into a cocktail glass. Raise a toast to Smedley Butler, the two-time Medal of Honor recipient and one of the truly great legends of the Marine Corps. Semper Fidelis, Marine. Dang, I want to have one now. You know, that was... I do have gin. I'm a stickler for keeping gin around. Do I have lime juice cordial, though? I'm not so sure I do. Let me go check, though. Enjoy the jazz. All right, I'm back. So not lemon, but I do have, I mean, not lime juice, but I've got the lemon juice version. Do it warm though, 'cause I think it's cool enough. 82 degrees. All right, get that lemon in there. A little bit of lemon zest too. Fuck it. All right. Cheers, everyone. I'm just gonna be sipping it. Those 2 ounces. It's afternoon here. Okay. Dink. Great. Right at the end of that, that music. Now. To war! All right. Oh yeah, we still have alerts we need to deal with. Pi Day, March 14th. Okay, as soon as we are able, when I get 100 political power, we're gonna start immediately improving the workers' conditions. Like I said, I want to freaking zone in on that. Like, you know, the people who are against us aren't in the country anymore, or at least very few of them. So our stability now, we at least have a base 20%. We're at 29% stability. You know, I think they all will have gotten a little bit back. Where do I look at their stability? I actually don't. Oh, wait, yeah. They're at 17%. No, they're still at negative 87% stability in the U.S. Oh, geez, and American United States at 64. They got that locked down. And yes, Huey Long is an app populist after all. Yes. Excuse me. So we have a federal deadline looming. The president's demand was clear: the rebels should stand down and disarm in a month, or the federal forces will force them to do so. Consequences be damned. America waits in silence as days go by with neither side seemingly ready to budge. It is clear that days for diplomacy are long over. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just had a great idea. Favorite Michael Bay movies? Armageddon's probably number one, and then there's a power gap before anything else. Hold on. So let's pick up Smedley Butler. He's of course going to be our field marshal. But I just had this idea. So the Marines, because we're gonna try to keep these Marines alive, and we're gonna have to build more in the future. So like, what if old Gimlet eyes, they develop a tradition of drinking those like after successful campaigns, and it starts getting budgeted in that they get liquor. They basically, it's like how the Navy has their rum reserves, right? Yeah. Here. Like when you find out you're getting, like in the future, when you find out you're a Marine who's getting assigned to the 1st Division, that's old Gimlet eyes. You're just, oh man, I'm gonna be boozing it up, but classy for the next few years. All right, standoff in America. Ooh, Bad Boys 2. I mean, if you like action, Bad Boys 2 is the one. But if you want the writing, the heart, what could it be but Armageddon? So standoff in America. A tense standoff has erupted in the United States as the elected President Reed fled to the city of Chicago after being forcibly removed from his position by General Douglas MacArthur. From Chicago, Reed's supporters have declared MacArthur's government illegitimate, as have the Southern supporters of Huey Long, based in Baton Rouge, and the Pacific governors under the leadership of Governor Frank Merriman. All have been given a deadline by General MacArthur of 30 days to either stand down or face arrest and execution. Considering all sides are rapidly raising forces, the idea that America seems headed into a second civil war seems almost certain. Same thing with after parade, strong tea laced with rum. It's called gunfire. Yeah. Rum, yeah, the 3 institutions of the Royal Navy. Rum, sodomy, and the lash. Let's see here. So let's take a look at these other leaders that we're facing against. So out here we've got Frank Merriman, who is the champion of the establishment, so they're getting a lot of political power. He is a market liberal, so technically he's a Republican. I guess they were all in California. All the Republicans were hiding there. And so he is trying to, return to the America before MacArthur. MacArthur we've already seen. But I think Huey Long at least is worth reading all his stuff out. So he gets the Kingfish, so all of his designer costs and political advisor costs are down by 33%, which is pretty good. You see, that's especially, like, I'm telling you, the American Union state, if as long as I'm a big believer that the Federalists need to abandon one or the other half. Like, you either need to get out of the Great Plains or you need to get out of Washington D.C. If you try to keep the corridor open, it's probably not going to work out. He who tries to hold everything holds nothing. Because of that, the AUS can just shoot straight north, start getting into southern Illinois, start going up the coast, and getting a really strong position early. You definitely want to blitz as the American Union state. Okay, so we can reorganize the railway system. You can only ever do this once, and I'm not going to right now. So in 30 days, the war will begin. Looks like we also have some new divisions that have just popped up as well. Let's put them in with, these are more Midwesterners. So we got the Ready Rifles, the Hand Grip, the Pioneer, the Night Stalkers, the Mountain, the Lafayette, the Brown, the Lincoln, the 1st America's Horse Division, and the Alabama Continental Guard. What? So there was some Alabamans. Geez, I guess William Faulkner and all his friends, they were just, nah, we ain't doing this. And they came north and joined the CSA. Where did William Faulkner live? Wait, he was from Alabama, right? Or was he Mississippi? Let me check that. No, born and died in Mississippi. Yeah. titan of American literature. Probably more Southern literature, though, I feel. Yeah. Faulkner's cool. As I Lay Dying, definitely a classic I recommend to people. It's really good to read, you know, around times when there is a death in the family or one pending, you know. There was actually a adaptation of As I Lay Dying that was done by, I kid you not, James Franco, where there's 2 cameras on at all times, so you're getting 2 POVs, and it was definitely like, you only got this funded because it's like your little film school thing, or it's just, it was just cool experiment, bro. And now everybody hates him, and I'm not even sure what he did, honestly. I wasn't ever really that big a James Franco fan anyway. I can't stand how Seth Rogen is like the hero to people everywhere. Anyway, the Siege of New York City. Okay, so it's actually going to talk about how we're cut off out here. It seems foreign agitators were already active in America, as French and British provocators and agents have incited New York's poorer boroughs to revolution. Many businessmen that could not escape have been lynched, but the mob violence has been quieted by the arrival of trained organizers, both civilian and military, from Britain and France. The National Guard has surrounded the city in a loose siege stretching from Newark to Yonkers, preventing socialist militia from entering or leaving the city, but not yet attempting an assault on Manhattan. Keep the port open! Let's see, Francisco Franco, died 1975. James Franco, born 1978. Welcome back, Cadillo. James Franco, the American Cadillo. Yeah, let's look at the timeline where all these actors who say they're gonna run for shit it all happens. So, like, I mean, we got Reagan and Schwarzenegger, right? So what happens if every other state starts doing that? So, like, Texas, hello, Governor Matthew McConaughey. Who else? There, yeah, James Franco, I don't know where he's from, but he becomes like a senator. And then at the top, freaking Dwayne Johnson is president of the United States. See, people tell us it's the darkest timeline. It's just Dwayne Johnson's not president of the United States right now. Doesn't seem that dark. You know, it's like the joke, you know, you go to a doctor and doctor goes, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much pain are you in? So, well, what does that mean? Well, 0 would be no pain. 1, you're feeling a bit of pain, and 10 is the worst pain you could possibly imagine. So what are you on 1 to 10? And the guy goes, I'm a 1. And there's like, he's got like a mangled leg or some shit, and the doctor turns to the nurse and says, this guy's got a big imagination. Johnson West 2028. Kanye West. So Dwayne Johnson and Kanye West on the ticket in 2028. What are you saying, they can't get on the ticket now? There's still time. Ugh. So in recent days, syndicalist militias have been struggling and failing to take control in northeastern states from New York to New Jersey all the way up to the coast of Maine. So far, governors in the region have clamped down hard on the violence, though the result has been a series of violent riots in Boston and Buffalo, not to mention a wave of uprisings still ongoing within New York City itself. Citizens are on edge, and governors have denied the federal government permission to raise local militias in the area, fearful of increasing tensions further. A few New England governors are reported to be quietly asking the Canadian government to intervene should worse come to worse. Hartley. Who's Hartley? Hartley. Actor named Hartley. I don't know Hartley. Who's Hartley? Children of Radiation. Wait, are you talking about Josh Hartley? No, Josh Hackett is what I'm thinking. Nina Hartley. I don't think I know who that is. I'm gonna look her up. And try Nina Hartley Wikipedia picture. She's a... Oh, well... well, I'm not getting a pop-up of her. The only Nina Hartley I'm finding is... Oh, wow. No, never mind. I was like, the headline started to say, is a game designer and author. And then I clicked on the link, and it expanded out to, who is better known as an American pornographic film actress. Jeez. Oh my gosh, you guys know the name of... Oh, well, geez, I just said the thing. Well, bye-bye monetization. It's just super chats for me now. Gotta survive on. But, there is actually one, I guess the phrase should be adult video. There is one adult video star whose name I know, because when I was younger, I used to listen to the rock and roll station's morning show, and they had one of these adult actresses, in the studio, just were interviewing her for frickin' ever, because I guess they go on strip club tours. Well, they'll like, you know, go, you can go see them dance, and so she was promoting that, and she was yeah, and so they were talking about her, and her name was, wait, I just said I remember her name, and I don't remember her name. Tammy Lane? I think? You know, this was years ago, like probably not exactly, I'm sure she doesn't have a Wikipedia page. Let me try Tammy Lane. Would it be with one or two L's? I don't know. Producer, filmmaker. Oh, she's got a LinkedIn page. Oh, wait, no. No, this is probably not her. I'm not gonna type in Gorno star or actress into my search engine, so I guess we'll just never know. Hartley 28, we're fucked anyway, leave it to the professional. My mother once dated a man who took her to a gentleman's club on a date where he actually entered through the back. Oh gosh. And then later he entered through the... I'm sorry. I said that, implied that about your mother. It just... Okay, let's raise some militia! Okay, so we can get... The biggest one is New York City, 16 militia. Or we could do... What was the other one? Or we could do 16 in Illinois. I kind of feel, because we're getting the events about it specifically, and then, like, you know, like you said, it's Paris Commune style. Like, there's the uprising, and then they're surrounded. I feel like that would galvanize the city. So yeah, we're gonna rise up in New York City first. So that's gonna take 18 days. 3 weeks. 3 weeks worth of gun training. George MacArthur has been sworn in as president. Yeah, you just know there's people in North Virginia while all these things are happening. Like, everybody's racing to the front lines. New York City has been frickin' surrounded. Americans are starving an American city out. Are beginning the process of doing it. And there's people in Virginia just like, oh yeah, isn't like MacArthur being sworn in today? Yeah, he's got it under control. He's got it under control. Let me go back to my job selling insurance now. I'm not going to really think about this. So, General MacArthur's temporary occupation of the White House has not led to a calming of tensions, but a fiery shockwave of resistance all across the nation. With the situation worse than any in D.C. could have predicted, a new presidential succession law passed quickly by a joint session of a rump Congress shorn of its SPA and AFP members has decreed that in the case of presidential incapacitation or absence, the vice president and cabinet have the authority to transfer the president's authority as commander-in-chief to another member of the military or government. In the case of the entire cabinet's incapacitation, the responsibilities of the executive shall fall on the chief of staff of the United States Army. President MacArthur has been even more hurriedly sworn in the midst of his preparations for incoming civil war, and has addressed the nation, reminding all traitors that they still have time to lay down their arms. A barefaced assault on the Constitution. All right, the Illinois General Assembly is inviting the IWW to discuss the crisis. Reid made it clear the situation was dire. The SPA would need to unite behind the IWW to survive the coming conflict. The silent agreement means the traditional SPA leadership would be reorganized along industrial unionist lines, with each union representative allowed a single vote. the SBA immediately and unanimously pledged their support for a social revolution through direct action, not diplomacy. So say we all. Which, by the way, I don't know if anybody heard the reboot they were going to do of Battlestar Galactica got canceled. It just wasn't really working out. But I think that's good. Like, the original is one of the greatest things ever done in live action. So if we're not going to do something that's up to that standard, we don't need to do it. Okay, Canada is invoking the War Measures Act, legislation which grants the Canadian government sweeping powers to override civil liberties and ignore Parliament. Wow, the second the U.S. turns its back. Has been passed in the Dominion of Canada and read out to the House of Commons by Edward VIII, having been enacted only once before in 1917 during the Weltkrieg. It has ostensibly been passed to deal with Canada's current war, though most understand it primarily to deal with the massive unrest in Quebec. King Edward's first measure taken under the Act's new authority was to dismiss the Prime Minister, replacing him with former Conservative leader Arthur Meighen, a hardliner who is part of the King's inner circle. As a result, the King has been the focal point of ire by many Canadians who are protesting the government's move, saying the War Measures Act is unnecessary and tyrannical. Canada moves towards authoritarianism, it seems. Okay. All right. Western governors defect to the PSA. When federal troops withdrew from the, I'm talking about the 78 or the 2003 one. Oh, I suppose I was talking about the 2003 one. That's what, I was a child of the 2003 series. I remember watching it live when the episodes were coming out. That was pretty good. Yeah. Canadian intervention in American factions? Read. Nah, I'd win. Just, oh boy. Fighting Canada and the rest of America can get so hard, but it's kind of almost worth it, because then you get to take Canada quick at the start and you cripple the Entente so badly, and you put yourself in a great position. Oh yeah, that would be swell. So put that. So Western governors are now defecting to the 2003 is a reboot. You're right. You are correct. And you know what was funny? Like, people complain about shows these days being woke because, like, oh, they put in women, or they put in queer people, or they put in, ethnic groups or stuff. I mean, you had Edward James Olmos as one of the leading men. You had the gender swapping from the original, because, like, in the original Battlestar Galactica, Starbuck, who definitely one of my favorite characters. I'd say the Starbuck plotline, though, what I do warn people is that, like, Starbuck's arc is the worst, becomes the worst, but yet in spite of that, she's still, like, one of my favorite characters in the whole show. So like, she's just amazing. It's apparently she's been in Star Wars lately, and I don't watch the Star Wars shows, but I've heard via osmosis that she's doing good, and it was like, of course she's good. Did you see her Starbuck like 20 freaking years ago? Incredible. But, like, yeah, that was somebody, it's my understanding, people were upset at the gender swap on the casting. And then obviously it all worked out because she was written well. She was written amazingly. God, the women in that show, so many great women in that show. Good and evil ones. Absolutely love that series. Hold on a second, I gotta mute here for a second. Sorry for taking up time with my Battlestar Galactica podcast. So here's the thing. I did say 2 hours was going to be my pretty hard limit. So what we're just going to do is let's get to the end of the clock ticking down to where the war actually begins, and then we'll stop it there. So when I next stream, which, as I said, this weekend is my weekend is rapidly filling. I might try to stream a little bit here and there. It probably would be kind of morning hours though, American times. Dirk Bennett was upset. Yeah, but then he came on to the 2003 one, and he was a super important character. So, you know, it worked out. But the at the latest, unless something serious happens, I will stream again. Should be Monday. But I might stream tomorrow. You never know. But it's very unlikely, I'd say. Actually, what day is today? Is today Friday? It's Thursday. Yeah, it's Thursday. So yeah. So maybe tomorrow. Not likely though. So yeah. Let's just get caught up here. Western governors defected to the PSA when federal troops. Ooh, they got bigger. When federal troops withdrew from the area of the Rocky Mountains, they were initially split responses. The governor of Nevada, Richard Kerman Sr., refused to allow federal troops to evacuate or abandon their equipment, but the governors of Arizona, Idaho, and Utah were more willing to accommodate the president. However, a recent regional conference of the four governors in Salt Lake City has led to them deciding to collectively rely on the provisional government in California for protection and support. Apparently, most of them were led to this by their clear abandonment by the Washington government. They have denounced MacArthur's takeover pro forma, and the Sacramento government has already sent in its own soldiers and airmen to occupy the abandoned bases in the West. Pragmatic traitors are still traitors. So, big chunk here for the Pacific states. That could possibly be good. That's going to be good in the short term. It's going to mean going against the Pacific states is going to be more of a grind now. Woo! We got Minnesota. We got it. Which we had total control. So, but it's possible to not get Minnesota because the Federalists pour in too much. Very good for us though. Although New England is going to be so crucial. What happens here is going to be everything. As federal, because that's going to involve Canada, that's going to involve how we're deploying our troops, how long the Civil War could potentially take. So as federal forces left Minnesota, Floyd Olson's old friend, Governor Peterson, realized that his state would be torn apart unless he surrendered to Jack Reed's Chicago regime. While there was some protest, the fact that the state had been close to voting Reed in the 1936 election helped sway the people of Minnesota to follow their governor into the arms of the Socialists. It was inevitable. Okay, New Mexico falls to Huey Long's government. That is actually really good. Getting through the pass here could be so key. If they wanted to push west, which I kind of hope they do, they abandon the east too much. Good, wow. As federal soldiers and Marines left Arizona and New Mexico, they took most militiamen and Nash. Oh, you know what it is? It's because the MacArthur chose the abandon the west. He's going to concentrate around Washington, which means taking Washington is going to turn into our frickin'... Oh, it's going to be the Battle of Berlin. It's going to be nasty. 'Cause sometimes you can almost waltz into Washington if everything times out just right. As federal soldiers and Marines left... stripping of defenders, steaming up the Pecos, racing along the roads. Minutemen and National Guard captured the greater part of New Mexico. Police knew what was happening. Progressive Governor Tigley surrendered the state via radio before fleeing west of the PSA, taking most of the administration of the state with them. The nation spirals further into chaos. So wait, why are the New Yorkers out here? How did they cross the state frickin' lines? The New Yorkers are supposed to be in New York. What the hell? Strategically redeploy you. Now, do we have any New Yorkers here? It's York, Pennsylvania. Sydney, New York. Because I feel like it should be a New Yorker, like maybe somebody who was in town that takes control of the New Yorkers. New York City. That's from Kentucky, Connecticut, California, Washington, D.C. Milton Wolf, Brooklyn, New York. Yeah. There we go. So Milton Wolf, he's a red card commander, so our non-combat added supply penalties go down by 10%, as they should. Militia defense speed and organization go up. And he's also a trickster, which is good. Doing the unexpected in combat can give a large advantage. So he's in charge. We're gonna call this the New York Wolf Pack. Wolf Pack. All right. Okay, and then for the other one, I want more. Who do I want to make better later? This guy's already an artillery leader. Skilled at directing it in combat. Kind of want to get Devers here. Yeah, he's damn good. Get him an artillery and infantry leader experience factor. He could be huge come the Civil War. The Marines are just going to be fighting on, plugging in a front line for now somewhere. Oh yeah, and let's try to keep an eye on the Alabama Continental Guard here in Philadelphia. Let's see. There's already definitely some units that I'm like, oh, okay, I want to see what happens to them. This one, though, the 10th Division, let's actually change it to the Mountain. I mean, the 10th Mountain Division, let's actually make it the 10th Mountain. And see how they do. Iowa surrenders. Yeah, again, the Federalists are definitely abandoning the plains. Striking workers in Des Moines and Cedar Rapids today were joined by a newly arrived militia of Reed's now openly declared Combined Syndicates of America. Police officers attempting to defend the Iowa state capitol were massacred by the mob as the seat of legislature was invaded by the workers. Governor Crashell, probably seeing which way the tide was flowing, has decided to surrender his state to the Chicago government as a new state of the CSA. The revolution must be fought by force sometimes. Okay, dissolution of the U.S. Navy. The Navy is the backbone of any... Oh. So, let's see. Some declared for longest. Others announced support for the revolution in Chicago. Some captains have switched sides and aligned with us. The Navy is the backbone of any revolution. So ships from the West Coast will arrive in the Caribbean Sea. So yeah, we now have a Navy here. Which we're not going to actually deploy just yet. We're going to wait. Occupation of the northern... I'd be like, we barely have a coastline. Yeah. Occupation of the northern Rocky Mountains. Well, like West Virginia? Oh, did we just get that? Ooh, nice. Have finally made it over the Rocky Mountains and through some small opposition, and today Cheyenne and Helena both fell to the Sacramento government. Oh, Rockies. Over here. Views of the occupation are mixed. Let them have the rocks if they want them. I mean, this ain't a huge deal. I hate fighting across the Great Plains. It's like Siberia out there. Would New England have happened by now if it was gonna? Man. Okay. We need to extend this line. We need to be in position to... We're gonna take this chunk. We need to be in position to wait, how'd the Mid-Mess militia get out there? Oh, we do have... Yeah, Philadelphia's got a dock, so we can go back and forth here a little bit. But what we're gonna do though is we need to get some people sort of in position here to take Washington. Okay. What'd you say? Let them have the coal if they want it? Okay. The Denver Congress resolves for long. Oh my god! Oh, I've never seen this. Jeez. This means they're going to be on my ass in frickin' Iowa. We're going to be fighting the longest. You know what? Good. I didn't want America standing between me and the freaking longest. They destroyed this country! Following the withdrawal of federal troops from the lower plains, Republican governor of Colorado called for a meeting of the governors of Kansas, Colorado, and Nebraska in Denver. While the governors of Colorado and Nebraska were from establishment parties, Governor Ketchum of Kansas was an America First Party member. This allowed for greater flexibility in choosing their side in the national conflict that is rapidly sinking into war. Ultimately, after a tense few days, the governor decided the only side truly interested in helping the American people was Huey Long's government in Louisiana. And the three states have invited in the Minutemen as well as the developing army loyal to President Long to keep the peace in the states. War decision. Now the Dakotas are just on their own. All right, let's declare the March Revolution right before March is over. In the Illinois General Assembly, Reed delivered a fiery broadcast describing the wealth of America and the syndicates, declaring that direct action against capitalist society was a vital necessity for all Americans and that the federal government's deadline must not only be ignored, it must be defied. Telegrams from the Third International poured in to support Reed's SBA, exciting the attendance. A vote was called to begin reforming the American capitalist economy into an anarcho-syndicalist economy. This referendum, signed by the attendants, declared the Federal Reserve null and void. The IWW was appointed to the labor chamber for the new syndicalist government, and the selling of company shares declared illegal. The representatives, satisfied with their successes, have returned to Chicago to organize the armed revolution. E pluribus unum. Okay. Yeah, it actually, I think, it's not looking great for MacArthur in the sense that he's trapped himself. And what is happening with New England? But like, he can hole up in lock. He's gonna be freaking dug in Washington D.C. like a tick. CSA partisans in Buffalo. Nice, we took Western New York State. Although President MacArthur's troops have compelled the obedience of Lemon and Albany, Butler ordered advance up to the Saskatchewan source and Niagara Falls. So, okay, then that, if it mentioned that MacArthur already is holding on to Albany, then, yeah, not good. Not a good situation. I feel like I'm missing some divisions here. What's going on? What are these guys doing out here? What the hell is happening? Oh! They took Missouri. No! St. Louis, so good. Dang it, MacArthur. Just holding up. I guess the good news is these two are going to have this hideous front line to deal with. Hopefully they'll occupy each other more than they want to go into Minnesota and Iowa. So, yeah, federal defenses in Nashville. Yeah, not our business. Battle of Eads Bridge. Federal troops left Missouri some days ago. It hadn't declared. So a rogue group of Illinois militiamen came from the north and attacked the CSA forces from behind, which allowed Governor Stark's National Guard to push forward and force the CSA militia to surrender. Stark has now declared Huey Long legitimate president, and Union forces have entered the state to guard the borders. Damn it. And then the Battle of Bismarck. Ended full encirclement. North Carolina governor, formerly aligned with Governor Long, supports the Western troops in their fight to expel socialist soldiers from the state. So, yeah, this guy up here, he's actually an American Unionist, but he goes, no, I'll still go with the Pacific states before I go with the socialists. Okay. If we can snag New England and hold it, it'll be okay. Alright, so the next thing I'm wanting to build, we need to start setting up all the stuff we're going to need. Let's get all these filled, and then we can... Gonna be mostly be rifles. Waiting for these. Okay. Federal deadline in 10 days. Longest forces repelled from North Carolina. So yeah, this is where the commitment pays off by MacArthur. The longest got turned back because you see he entrenched over here and gave up the center of America. Okay, cool. The New Yorkers are all ready to go. So these guys, we're shipping them off to Boston. What kind of division names do they have? Yeah, just New York City Red Guard, this, that. All just supporting, the named ones. Those are the ones that are going to become legends. Oh yeah, so because of that, shoot, I kind of already made a mistake. I let a couple days go by. The next one we want to recruit is Illinois, I think. Illinois will give us 15 militia divisions. So we now need to... Chicago needs to rise up! Because, like, you know, everybody's like, we have to save New York! And, you know, everyone's getting on the trains and head east, and then the people in Chicago go, and Illinois as a whole go, wait! But then they, you know, because this is after the movement happened, then Missouri falls, and then everybody in Chicago wakes up like, uh-oh. Federalists, whoa, we took Kentucky! What? Oh, tiny little MacArthur. Dang. Would I try to push west and take St. Louis? Or can we march to the sea very quickly? After losing Tennessee, Kentucky became indefensible for federal forces. Thus, General MacArthur has decided to retreat eastward and to abandon the state, hoping to retake it as soon as possible. For now, Congress can only watch while longist and syndicalist militias covered the streets of Louisville and Frankfort in blood, a bloodbath that soon turned towards the syndicalists. Their militia managed to surround Frankfort after the fall of Louisville and soon capture the rest of the state. We kicked the man from Louisiana out of Louisville. So, let's see. Why aren't there any alternate histories where the 1876 election caused a civil war? Because that's during the first Gilded Age. You know, the person who was actually president a lot in the first Golden Age didn't really matter, because the ones actually running the company were, you know, Standard Oil and the railroads and this, and, you know, Carnegie, Rockefeller, all that. So I don't see the 1876 election getting heated enough to cause a civil war. I mean, they only decided who it was going to be 2 days prior to Inauguration Day, if I remember correctly. So we've taken Kentucky. We really need to get these guys over here. All right, these guys are not deploying for reasons unknown. What's the problem? Unable to find a valid path to the target. Oh, it's because it's trying to move over there when I shouldn't have the Operation Galvade. Oh yeah, they named the operations now in the game. Forgot that thing. I'm just gonna delete them. Oh. Did that. Dang it! Not what I meant to have. There we go. Okay. Okay, so Federalist intervention beaten off in South Carolina. You're going to tell me the U.S. can possibly take South Carolina? That would have been crazy. General strike moves on the Federal Reserve. They've ordered an evacuation of Lower Manhattan to seize the gold in the Federal Reserve Bank and dismantle Wall Street. They carried safe boxes away for safekeeping in Chicago under the trust of the IWW, whom have elected Norman Thomas as their undersecretary. Several SPA politicians were arrested in Washington, D.C. for meeting outside the Euclid building, ordering the Federal Reserve Chairman Eugene Black to hear their petitions. Release those men now! Alright. Okay, so I need to redraw this now. Yeah, the battle for New York. This should be quite interesting. That's going to definitely be my force that pushes into New England. Alright, the deadline looms. The Third International is meeting. And I think tomorrow it goes down. New England submits to MacArthur. It's official. Not good. Okay. Things aren't moving. Keep your asses over here or something. You're telling me there's not a valid path to the target. There's no budging. It's just a matter of time. Can I do this? Okay, now they want to work. Longest uprising suppressed in New Jersey. Longest? Longest? Like, this could go to the American Union state, possibly? Geez, they have made changes. One day more. There it is. So it begins. How much longer do we have on the militia from Illinois? It's going to be in 10 days. Illinois will rise up. I just gotta hope that they couldn't. I mean, the thing is that the front lines at the beginning, they're too big for everybody, so you can't push everywhere. all at once. So it's a lot of jockeying for position. I think New York will be free. So next time we will, yeah, because of Charles Lindbergh, traditional anxiety. So, they can't find a path because East Pennsylvania is demilitarized. Was it? Oh, it's not now, but you could be right. So next time we play, which like I said should be Tuesday at the very latest, hopefully earlier, we will actually begin the Civil War, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be difficult. I don't think I've ever faced this exact scenario where the West got abandoned this hard, but also New England is held. Getting to Boston and cutting these people off in the North would be very good. We'll just have to find out. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm Conquering History Games, and I will see you guys next time.